again, you promise testimony about to give you the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Have a seat.
Would you please state your name,
John Turbett.
where you work at?
I work for the Iowa Department of Public Safety's Division of Criminal Investigation.
And how long have you done that?
18 years.
How many years have you been in law enforcement?
18 years. All those have been with the DCI as a special agent.
What was your work experience prior to the DCI?
I worked in a law firm,
What were you doing there?
basically a clerk. So I had started before I went to law school, during, and a little bit after.
Can you describe your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science and a law degree from the University of Iowa College of Law.
Now, what is it that you received a law degree? What is it that made you go the route of being in law enforcement?
I get asked that a lot. I had wanted to be a police officer from as far back as I could remember, and wanted to be able to help people that couldn't help themselves.
Can you describe briefly your current duties?
So inside the DCI, I'm assigned to what we call the Major Crimes Unit. I'm basically a plainclothes detective, a special agent, and I assist local law enforcement, police departments, county sheriff's office typically. Tend to work a lot of felony level cases, but also officer involved shootings and public corruption.
Now, we've already heard from Agent Teal some more specifics about what you do within DCI. Are you in the same zone, the same office as Jim Teal?
Not the same office, but the same geographic zone. So we both cover the same 29 counties in Iowa.
And what kind of hours do you work?
We're on a 24/7, 365-day-a-year call out unless you're on a scheduled vacation day. So we have days that are pretty normal business hours, but given that we're on a constant call out schedule, there are nights, weekends, holidays. So it's a little all over the place sometimes.
And what type of training do you have to be a law enforcement officer?
I graduated from the state of Iowa's basic academy, the Department of Public Safety's academy in 2000. That was a 19-week academy at the time. And since then, I have ongoing recertifications and training annually, sometimes more than annually, in firearms, defensive tactics, driving, CPR, and some other things as well.
And you yourself do a lot of training of other agents and officers too, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about August 30th, 2017. You were called out to assist with an infant death investigation on that day.
Yes.
Can you describe for us how that came about?
We happened to be at a zone meeting, which would be with my colleagues in the northeast part of the state. So we were together to train and have a meeting, and a request came into our supervisor during that meeting from the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office and informed us there had been an infant death, and they were requesting our assistance.
Did you receive a specific assignment for this case?
So I, along with Special Agent Jim Teal and Special Agent Chris Calloway, were dispatched to Chickasaw County, and I was designated as what we call the case agent for the DCI.
And just briefly, what does that mean? What was your job?
So when we get sent to assist, one of us gets designated as case agent. That's the primary point of contact for local law enforcement with the DCI. As case agent, you would meet with the local law enforcement point of contact and determine what, in fact, they need from the DCI. And then I try and assess how we can best provide those resources, and then I help assign leads, make sure officers complete those leads, and document those leads.
And does your level of involvement depend on which county you're in and who you're working with in local law enforcement?
Very much so. So we have local partners that have more experienced officers or larger departments They oftentimes require less assistance and just want us to do particular things, and sometimes we need to help with about everything.
In this particular case, what was your role with the local law enforcement?
So Chief Deputy Reed Palo is very experienced. We've worked with him a lot, and it was decided early on this would be very much a collaborative effort, and the DCI would provide interviewing and some crime scene processing and some other things as needed.
Now, do you have experience working in death cases?
Yes.
What kind of experience do you have?
I've been working death cases and infant death cases from pretty much the beginning of my career, both as a assisting officer and as a lead detective.
Are you able to say about how many infant death cases you do a year? And I guess I should clarify that. When I say infant, I mean child under 3.
Sure. I would say somewhere between maybe 3 to 6 a year that I would maybe have some involvement on.
All right. What time were you called on August 30th, 2017?
So it was, I recall near the end of that meeting, it was about 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon when I was informed by our supervisor about the request for assistance.
Where did you go to?
After I got the assignment, I went directly to the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office in New Hampton.
What time did you arrive there?
I believe about 2:45.
Who did you meet with when you arrived?
So we went into the Sheriff's Office and met with Chief Deputy Reed Palo and then the 2 other DC agents that had been dispatched with me, Special Agent Chris Calloway and Jim Teal.
All right. Did you provide specific tasks for certain people to do?
So Chief Deputy Palo and I talked about initial assignments. We assigned Special Agent Jim Teal to write a search warrant, present that to a judge, and then process the apartment where Sterling had been found. Special Agent Calloway was assigned to interview the defendant's girlfriend, Sterling's biological mother, Cheyenne Harris. Chief Deputy Palo was going to stay at the Sheriff's Office. There was a number of things that needed to be done there. And my understanding was that some of the deputies had already secured the apartment and were remaining there waiting for the search warrant to be obtained.
And what role did you take on for yourself?
I interviewed the defendant.
When you arrived at the Sheriff's Office in Chickasaw County, was the defendant at the Sheriff's Office at that time?
I don't recall if he was there when I first pulled in. I was inside for a short time, and then I was aware at some point that he was outside with his girlfriend, and they were waiting to speak to an officer.
How did you approach the defendant?
I was dressed in plain clothes. I had on slacks, a dress shirt, a light coat covering up my badge and gun, and I approached him much like we would anyone else in a friendly and conversational manner.
Why do you do that?
We want to always try and create an environment when we talk to people where it's going to be most helpful for them to have an honest and truthful conversation with us about what happened.
So he was outside of the Sheriff's Office. Did you go outside and meet him out there?
I did. I walked outside. At some point I could see he was kind of walking around out front, and then either he or Chief Deputy Palo pointed out to me that Cheyenne Harris was on the phone off in the distance speaking to somebody.
So what did you do?
I, myself and Special Agent Calloway made contact and Chief Deputy Palo with the defendant, and I asked him if he'd be willing to sit down and talk to me. He said he would. And he was going to go interrupt Harris on the phone. I said, you don't need to do that. Why don't you make any phone calls the two of you need to make? Why don't you make sure she's doing okay, and when you're both ready to talk, we'll be around the corner and we'll wait for you.
So how long did it take for them to be ready to talk to you?
I don't think it was long. It may have been 5 or 10 minutes that we just waited on them to take care of whatever they were doing.
Did you talk to them together?
No, so when we could see they were kind of approaching and appeared to be ready to talk, we met them again kind of out in front of the Sheriff's Office. And Special Agent Calloway asked Harris if she would be willing to sit and talk to him. He had an air-conditioned unmarked car just a few feet away, and she said yes, and then I invited the defendant to step inside and talk to me, sit down inside and talk.
Now, did you take a certain approach to this interview?
Like I was saying, much like any of the interviews we do, again, friendly and conversational. At this point in the investigation, we were still gathering information. There just wasn't a lot known at that time, so I was approaching with that in mind.
Did you ever, during this interview with the defendant, did you ever get confronted with them or raise your voice or anything like that?
No.
Why not?
Especially at this point in the investigation, and all I had was some preliminary reports of what emergency medical services and law enforcement had seen and had observed of Sterling. So as I'm sitting down with the defendant, I don't know what role or involvement he may have in Sterling's death, or if he's grieving, if he's just a grieving father at that point. It's unclear when I sit down.
So at that point, you approached the interview that could be a suspect, could not be a suspect. Just let's talk and find out.
Yes.
All right, how long did the bulk of your interview last?
About 2 hours and 20 minutes.
What was the defendant's demeanor throughout the interview?
He was noticeably unemotional, and the emotional flatness ran throughout our time together that day. Although he was courteous and talkative on plenty of subjects.
I asked you to provide me a drive that would contain the audio recording of that interview, correct?
Yes.
And did you do so?
Yes.
And I have that marked as State's Exhibit 97. It's actually in my computer right now. Is that something that you have listened to ensure its accuracy?
Yes.
When you recorded the defendant during this interview, was there video or is it just audio?
Both. I happen to be in a place, we're not always, but here in the sheriff's office there was a video camera that's just part of their setup, and then as a DCI agent, we're accustomed to always recording everything with a small digital audio recorder.
And is it fair to say that the audio recording came out best to be able to hear what was being said?
It was closest. The recorder typically sits, I would have had it in my pocket or nearby, so it usually picks up the conversation better than anything else.
Your Honor, at this time the state would offer State's Exhibit 97.
Any objection? No objection. Admitted.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
Your Honor, the state would also offer State's Exhibit or Court's Exhibit 125. It is something that would not be made available to the jury afterwards, but something that they can read along with because it's sometimes difficult to understand the audio.
Any objection? No objection. Mr. Lee, would you disseminate it from the jury? Is there any reason for
Thank you.
the agent to remain in the jury box? Play the audio? I mean, for this box?
Sure, I have no preference.
You can stay there if you want, if the agent should.
I'll stay good if that's okay.
That's fine.
That's fine.
So you'd be more comfortable someplace else, you can listen here.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm starting this at approximately 2 o'clock. Is there a particular time you'd like me to stop so you wish to have a break?
Let's go about 2:25, 2:20. Excuse me, 3:20. And we don't longer need the services of the court reporter?
We do not.
Did we get a smile again?
Agent Turbett, I forgot to ask you about what time. Oh, you're not recording, I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead. Agent Turbett, I forgot to ask you about what time did this interview start?
3:04 p.m.
And where did it take place at?
at the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office.
What type of room was it in?
It's what I understand to be their designated interview room. It's really just a nondescript room with a table and a couple chairs.
And that's all I have for reporting.
Version of Round 05, today's date is August 30, 2017, and it's 3:04 p.m. Zach, this is Sunshine, how are you doing? So sorry.
I can talk to my parents and they're going to talk to some of their
Yeah.
So you're not part of it. What do you call it? You're no longer that.
spell.
You're so.
Yeah.
Was she doing anything?
No, she's never been on. The guy used to be there, and I guess that they're not like Amish where they shun you and they get away and they still care, you know.
And your older ones went down. And they're Oklahoma.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we have many back down, so down there going over to the road out there.
She drive?
Yeah, drive it for a little while. Then it was time for the baby, you know. She had to be a trusted, but she really likes the doctor out there. So she came back, and I came back a little bit later. We decided to sell it and help with this. Really like the community. They went to heal up, and then the guys that came in, that's how the word got out. The guy was, he gets pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
But you have a card or something, I can get you back with that.
Oh, don't worry about it. Seriously. I have money for stuff like that. It's not a big deal.
Sure appreciate it.
So it's the first year she's had to talk to her mom.
Yeah, you bet, absolutely. Did she just step around, she talking over here?
Yeah, no, this is over there.
Yeah, I don't need to, I'll give you guys space. I'll just hang out, Zach, and when you get a minute, maybe can I sit down and talk to you for a second? Just go kind of, make sure she's doing okay. And I'll just wait over here. You guys do your thing, Zach. Pause the recorder.
You guys want to be together as soon as possible, so that we thought the best way would be to talk to you guys quickly individually. And that way we can get you down and get you guys back together. Would that be all right? Okay. And they're a little bit for space, so if you want to sit in my car, it's air conditioned, it's comfortable, and if you need something, you can get out and, go in or whatever. Does that work? Okay. So she'll be right with me.
It's like we just have a room in here, we can sit in here for a minute, so, all right.
She wanted a glass of water, a bottle
bottle of water? I think she's got a Dr. Pepper with her. Okay. Let's go a little way. There's a quiet room up here, Zach. Let's go here. So you guys stopped for we're able to get a drink and some gas on the way to here? Okay. Have you ever been to the sheriff's office here before? No. Let's try, does this work for you? We'll be talking here. So if you need her at any time, if she needs you, do you have your phone on you, Zach? Okay. Oh, she doesn't have hers with her. Are you okay if I close this? It's okay? There's a little bit of background noise here. Thanks for sitting down with me. I'm so sorry. I know this is, I have children too. You have just the two children? You have three. So you had two with Cheyenne, and then another one with someone else. Okay. Okay, that's kind of. I think you were saying something about that outside, maybe. Do you know Reed? Have you met Reed before? The officer down there. He's a real nice guy. He's a good guy. He's been real decent with you. I understand he gave you a little bit of money for gas and sodas and stuff.
I had enough gas to get to my work.
Yeah.
Friday I get paid, and I'd be living at $10, and when you fuel up in the gas station there, so just fill the tank all the way up and make a total difference.
Oh man, that's pretty
Overwhelming.
That is pretty. Well, I'm a parent. I got 4 kids of my own. Zach, I've never been through something like that. So.
Yes, there's no water, no lights,
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So like Chris said, why don't I'm just going to get a little information that just helps us kind of understand what's going on. And Zach, if you need to take off at any time or you need to go talk to Cheyenne, you know the way out. You just go out this door and down the stairs. Just because you're here, I always tell people here, you're not under arrest or in custody. You just showed up to talk to us and help us understand a little bit about the situation. So, but you are free to take off anytime you want. And like I said, if you need to go check on her, and Chris will tell her the same thing if she needs to get with you or anything. So I want you to feel free to do that. So what I'll do is I'll just take a few notes here. And what we'll do is I'll get some background, a little bit about you, Zach. We'll kind of just go through a few things, a little bit about how you and Cheyenne got together, just so I understand the family dynamics or whatever. And then a little bit, I understand you were working, somebody told me maybe last night and all that. So we'll kind of go through just your schedule recently, something like that. Does that sound good? Can I get your full name, Zach?
Zachary Koehn.
Is that name pronounced different ways sometimes, or is it always the same?
It's Koehn.
Koehn?
I didn't pronounce it Koehn, so Koehn.
Okay, yeah, it seems like I've heard that pronounced a few ways. What's the address you're living at?
Last I live in Southfield, Fox Avenue, out of this, apartment 7.
Number 7? It's in Alta Vista.
Good morning.
What's that?
Good morning.
What's your date of birth, Zach?
10:16.
And how old are you right now?
97.
See,
I'm not sure.
you know you're getting older when you got to start thinking about it, right?
Here you go.
Yeah. Okay. And where are you working at right now?
Midget Nuggets.
Where's that at? Where's that located? That's in Iowa Falls. How long have you been with them?
Yes, it's me.
Had a good place?
Yeah, actually,
live chickens. And then they have a place where they slaughter and do all the processing right there.
Right across the street there.
Yeah.
Simply essential.
Yes, I am familiar with Simply. Okay. But Nugent does just the contracted haulers. Okay. Yeah, I just met somebody not too long ago that worked at Simply. They employ quite a few people over there too, don't they?
I think they brought a lot of the people from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten pretty violent there, so it sounds like.
Because are they getting some rough element from Chicago a little bit?
There's some blacks there and some Spanish beer talking people like themselves. But I'm not violent, they try not to be.
You don't seem. So do you have Hispanic roots then?
I think God knows about it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have no Spanish.
Well, you can't pick it up in your voice, but certainly you've got a dark complexion, right? So, well, you and I know about the same amount of Spanish thing.
Yeah, I have Mexican talking with Spanish. Of course, I didn't understand. I replied in Russian, and I really messed up. They'd say, what? In English. They really do know English.
So with your position, how would you describe your position with them? Company driver. Have you been driving before you worked for Nugent? How long have you been driving?
About 5.5 years, probably. I used to be over there, and then when I was out in Montana, I hauled cattle out there, and we hauled from Canada to Texas, and from there I went to Louisiana, and hauled oversized loads out there, and came back. This year job, it wasn't the best pay, but I don't think it's home very much. With more family time, I took that sacrifice.
Yeah. Okay, so, and you got like what's your licensing for driving? What do you have? Do you have a certain kind of
Class A, tank car or something.
Yep. Is that pretty tough to get, or
It's not too bad, tank car, is it?
did you,
Hazmat.
is it?
Yeah, it's really tough.
Is it? So did you have some schooling or some training before you went after the Class A? Did you?
Never really know. My dad was a truck driver, or still is. My whole family pretty much was in that.
So you grew up around some of that, or so driving a truck was not a foreign thing to you? No.
It's diesel in my blood for a long time.
Yeah, so it's second nature driving?
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, maybe you had one of those, I piled up. No doubt.
There's something bad.
Okay. Tell me a little bit, just so I always get a little information on people. Zach, where were you born at?
I studied California.
Where's that?
Merced.
Merced.
Yeah, I don't know from Sacramento.
How do you spell that?
C-D.
Okay, Merced, California. And that's an hour from Sacramento?
Yeah, it's in the Central Valley.
I've got family, my wife's family, in more southern California.
Yeah, it's a little nice there.
It's nice down there. I do like it. We don't get out there much because I got a big family and it's hard to cart it. As you know, having kids is expensive and carting them across the country is really expensive, so we don't do much of it. But are your mom and dad still both alive then?
Yeah.
Okay, together?
Yeah.
Okay.
45 years.
Oh man. Which that in of itself is,
Yeah.
that's something.
There's something else, but we never really realized credit in service.
Really? And that's something. I wonder how many people your age could look back and say that about their parents. I'm guessing almost nobody, right? That's pretty amazing. Do you have good memories, good thoughts of mom and dad? Yeah.
Mom,
Yeah.
we had a good job.
you still stay in touch with?
Yes, Cal, with all different people that work there. There's, you have creature haulers, and then your box haulers, and then you have your cattle haulers. And there's times we were out of money, and the driver didn't even know they take you to the cafe and feed you and give you extra money. It's like a big family.
So they took pretty good care of each other, huh? So is that a friend, is he still in Montana? Is that where you were at when you were doing that?
Yeah, we lived in Dakota, actually.
Does he? Okay. Is he still driving over there?
He does go.
Yeah. I don't live far from that area, actually. That's closer to where I'm.
Yeah, they just had a little one too.
Yeah.
Had some play dates and like I said, it didn't pan out. The big man upstairs got that like kid.
Sometimes he does. I got to tell you, pretty good. Just so you know, I'm a police officer, so I work with Reed quite a bit. Especially things like this, we just help out, and so you had a good childhood. Mom and Dad were Mennonites growing up, and they still are.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Reed was asking, I was not familiar with that term, but you were expelled at some point?
Yeah.
And don't let me ask about, is that a hard thing to talk about, or are you okay? Okay, it didn't seem like it, but how does that happen?
So I was 16 in buying some alcoholic beverages, and they didn't like that. So I, expelled because it's, if they would, turn a blind eye to that, to the public, they would say, them bleeding, drinking, or smoking, but yet they allow their young people to do it, so they have to, cut you off from that sort of thing. That way I can't say, I'm a Mennonite, but I can do all this, so it's a bad witness.
Okay. So how long have you been back in Iowa? So before you moved to Iowa, you were in Louisiana, is that right? Okay. And when did you come back to Iowa?
He was born May 1st, so he was probably late April. All I know is that I was out of Louisiana, it was 106 there, and I got into Chicago on age 32.
That's nuts.
I've been around before Chicago, has been, what's that little Amtrak through
Yeah.
an hour south.
So that was late April of this year, of 2017?
Yeah.
Okay. And
She flew back earlier, a month before that.
Cheyenne did?
Yeah. And I caught a train coming back.
Train quite a bit cheaper than a plane?
And I took it from East Texas to Walton to, I can't think of the little name of that town there. It's south of Chicago a little ways. And then you take the bus to Davenport. And now all that included was like $90.
That's cheap, isn't it? Because I mean, a cheap airline ticket, your price several $100 still, right? Yeah.
I've never really been on a train that much.
Yeah.
We've been there, there's all these trees go by, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to motion sick, that's
Not bad,
that
huh?
wasn't too bad.
I've never really ridden the train for any extended period, so, yeah.
I just didn't think they have your food on there, but they can really rip their new ones for long, because like they have an observatory car, which is just glass all the way around, so you can go sitting there, and underneath they have drinks and stuff like that, and like, Pepsi cans and like that, like the Budweiser was $5. So,
Man.
then like the hot dog was like $10. And
Oh, you're kidding me. So once they get you on there, they got
that's
you.
why the fares are so cheap.
Yeah, they know they'll kill you on food.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, like, they'd be another 90 out of me in food if I sat on there too long.
Yeah, my aunt, she packed me a bunch of food.
She's smart. She's smart.
They really trained me, they know what's going
Um, so you were kind of explaining to me, how did you guys decide that you wanted to come back to that? Because your family was here, or what?
on.
Is your family here? Did I get that right or not? Are they?
My parents live in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Uncle here, some cousins. But we came to had set up with the job, and like my hometown, I was away from my family for probably 3 months at a time. And I said it was time to go on my own, and so I took that job. And we went around my family more.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason we enjoyed being away. I mean, we like Iowa and everything, but we enjoyed the different cultures, especially down here in Louisiana. We lived there, like Lake Charles,
Yeah.
and go down to the Gulf and New Orleans. And
You bet. So you were born out in, how'd you say it, Merced? And how long did you stay there? Did you move from there?
yeah, I was adopted
Okay.
there, and probably another 1 year or 2 when I left.
Your adopted parents took you away?
Yeah, they moved out to Iowa. There was a big farming opportunity, and I don't know, the land was sold pretty much.
So they moved out here in hopes of farming?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't turn out so well, or?
Yeah.
So what did they end up doing?
Well, my dad worked out. Had employees, basically out for a while and worked for a farmer. He worked there for about 3 years. And I ended up actually working for the same farmer later on. I worked there for almost 9 years. And we got to go out farm.
Sure.
And I was 76. So bouncing around and working, people would get up at 5 in the morning and go to bed and then go into the house around 9. So,
Man, isn't that crazy?
you kind of know when things start.
Seems like that means yeah, that's him, huh? Man. Some of those little boys, man, those little farmers, they're tough guys, aren't they? They just keep going and going.
I've seen him work on the tractor. He was on the top platform or whatever. Fell off, they put down right on his face and got back up and brushed himself off and kept working.
Man, and that's something. They don't make them like that anymore, man.
Okay.
So you moved from California out to Iowa when you were about 1, you said? And then where did you move to in Iowa when you were young?
I was the same answer.
Okay.
Then you were around the trauma part.
Yeah?
You just go up that road to the intersection with 218. There's a railroad tracks for you, 218.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come up this way, it's on, and then there used to be a big white barn.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay. And how long did you live there for?
probably 5 or 6 years, and then my dad bought a place in the outside Alma there. Across the road from Richard and Shirley Larson. And so he would go to work 7 o'clock and then get off at 5 in the evening, go to this other place in Alma and work till midnight remodeling it. Go back and do chores and then go to sleep, wake back up. And he actually went through a pretty bad depression from it, but he remodeled it and we were there shortly after. Lived there for a little while and he sold that and he bought a house up in McIntyre.
So you guys moved from Alma to over by McIntyre?
Lived in the 90s and then after that we lived in McIntyre. 2004, our place burned to the ground.
In McIntyre?
Yeah. 4 months, 4 or 5 months, it would have been 2015, 2016.
When they moved?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is in the winter time, I know that.
Okay, so sometime during that winter in 15 or 16 in there? Okay, but you did not go out there with them?
No.
Okay.
My brother, he was back in California, he to
Okay.
and my other brother, he was in Texas, and he moved to Mississippi as well.
Okay. So your folks were in McIntyre in Iowa up until 2015 or 16 when they moved out to Oklahoma?
Yeah, he worked for ESR,
Okay.
my uncle and the trucking company, and then they moved. He started to move out there, so trying to get loads up here, you know.
Go ahead, we'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah. Yeah, I can send you the address. All right, sure appreciate it. Okay. Thank you.
Somebody open now.
He is my uncle.
Is he the one that lives in Iowa here?
Yeah, he is not my uncle, but my Trudy. It's her sister. So we've been really close together. We've been over the parents as well, helping out together and become uncle.
So you actually go from California, you come with your folks at 1, right, out to Iowa, and you move, and you go to St. Ansgar, that's your first place in Iowa, and then from there you go to Elma, and then to McIntyre. So you actually lived in McIntyre for a while, right?
Just outside of them.
Just outside. How long do you live in McIntyre? How old are you when your families live in McIntyre?
I was there when I was, I would say, 10 or 12, and then I lived there up until my teens. I moved out when I was about 16. I told me I wanted to try living on my own. So he got me an apartment when I was 16. I had a pretty much full-time job when I was 14.
Were you doing school still?
Yeah, I take my schoolwork with me, and that whole slurry that between, big green tanks, those 4 big tires on each side. You see them going through, and they got the big 4-wheel tractors, and I run those, but I take my work with me, and keep me stay at school. The teachers will just pull me out of there. But when I was 14, I was bringing home 11 per week.
A lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah, I usually get that at home.
So you weren't homeschooled, you were still in the public school system, or?
No, I was in private school.
Private school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did their own school.
Okay, that helps, okay. So you didn't actually go to the school building, or did you some? Did you go over there?
Yeah.
You did?
It was just our busy times in the spring and the fall. So in the fall, then I get pulled out early sometimes,
Sure.
because I run the night shift then.
Okay. And at 16, about the time that's when you did some drinking that got you in trouble with the Mennonites, and is that about the time you decided to move out, or?
Yeah, they talked to them about moving out, and they set me up with dishes and bedroom set and stuff like that.
So did you have your own apartment?
Yeah, I co-lived with a buddy of mine, co-worker.
So did you end up getting your high school diploma or a GED? Did that
I never did.
pretty close, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they don't do that, because, I mean, in like 8th grade, when you graduate, but in 8th grade, we're taking 12th grade curriculum.
Are you really? So the Mennonites are actually ahead of the schooling curve? I mean, they're doing more?
Like in kindergarten, you're doing like simple addition,
Really?
like that, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
colors and numbers you're doing at home.
Yeah.
My son, has them now, but when he was 4 years old, he could read 3 books, cover to cover.
That's impressive.
And I guess a lot smarter than an old man, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I think if I would not played with school and school, you know, and buckled down and learned, I would, I think it was pretty far, because my friend of mine, he was a classmate, he actually went on to get his GED and then went to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up, he medical field, he ended up teaching a professor.
That's something.
And I heard about it, and they pulled him out there and sent him up there.
That's something. So it's a pretty good school system that the Mennonites have. Do they work harder or longer, or the teaching just is a better methodology, you think, how they teach? Or?
I don't know, I mean, I think they started out younger. They started out in first and second grade, you're starting your algebra already. So, I mean, they cram a lot in their head, but just
They're pushing you a little faster. So that's something. So did you, at 16, about that time too, did you quit going to school then? Or was
I
that,
graduated at 14.
you did graduate at 14? When do you, in the Mennonite school, you stay in that system when you usually graduate?
At 14.
At 14? And then do people usually go on from there, or would they?
They can, if one of the people get their GED.
Yeah.
Like in California, that's different. They go to 12th grade there. This is older man before you go on.
Is it?
Yeah. I wish it was here. There's so many jobs you can't get.
Sure.
You know, GED
Yeah.
or high school diploma.
Do you, so you're a Mennonite, you were raised in that faith, right? And I don't know, I probably don't understand the faith that well, but you said you were expelled. Do you still carry that with you? Are you still practicing? Are you a Mennonite? Would you say?
The principal thing, I think that's something like, as far as trying to be structured, like the I'd say, you have like structured in the family, meals, 3 times a day, sit down and eat together as a family, and that kind of just puts structure in the family.
Very much so, yeah. That wouldn't be such a bad thing for the rest of the country to follow suit with.
You know, and it does a little difference having a meal, one meal
Together.
together.
It's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good thing. I see the tattoos. Explain those to me a little bit. What do you got going on? What's this one over here? This Uncle Sam's. Is that a military tattoo, or?
I think so. I got those from my grandfather. His name is Sam. And, I don't understand. I got it when I was 17.
Mm-hmm. Did he have that same tattoo, or?
No, he was a staunch Mennonite.
Okay. And tattoos would not be allowed? No.
It's highly
Frowned upon?
forbidden, you know.
Okay.
But I got it when I was 17. The other guys kind of started heading on.
Yeah. What else you got? What else you got on here? So this is a skull here, and the
eyebrow with those schools, and I tried to color this brown skin, so it doesn't.
it's tough.
Yeah, it's always white. It really looks neat, but it's white and it's good. My skin just don't hold together. It holds this.
You got some red. What's that up there? What do you got going on?
It's heroes when I got when I was younger. It's a German flag. It's my heritage. Heritage is German. My last name, obviously,
2014, you graduate from the Mennonite school, right? But you don't have your GED when you graduate, is that right? Okay, and that's typical when you graduate, you don't technically have your GED? Okay. And then do you do any more schooling after you graduate, or is that it for school? Then you're just a working man? Okay, and you have been since then. Have you been gainfully employed since 14, since you graduated?
Yeah, and I was all over for probably 2 months at most.
Okay.
But I had saved up, coached me through that.
Okay. And when did you meet Cheyenne?
Oh, it's been, I want to say 2014.
How'd you guys meet?
I used to ride motorcycle with her parents. And she comes there with them there in Riceville. We started hanging out and got to know each other and kind of connected.
What kind of bikes would you ride with them?
No, I was chocolate.
Okay.
And the old man. The seat with my that far off the ground, it's got a tire on the back like that. Weighs 400 pounds and got about 110 horse.
And so would you do like distance rides or that kind of stuff? Or?
Actually, I took it down to Texas one time. The hard field, there's no suspension on the back.
How's that feel?
It's not too bad. I left over there on the back tire.
So you get a little bit. And so you were actually riding with her parents. Was that like in a group of people that would ride, or how did you?
Some charity rides, and then I always pretty much rode wherever I went.
Okay. And did you kind of meet them through the charity rides, or?
Yeah.
And then was she not living with them initially, or did you say she came back, or how'd you end up there? You just met her through them? And then,
She started hanging out there, and then I started living there.
you started to live with them?
No, she started living there.
Okay. Okay, so she wasn't living with her parents at that time?
She lived in the Mason City, I think, for a little while.
How old is she now?
She was 20, basically.
Okay. And you guys aren't married, right? Okay. But you've been together since, you said about 2014, so would you say it's about like 3 years or so? Is that about right? Okay. And you've got 2 children together, right? Yeah. And so your oldest is how old?
And my oldest is my daughter, with her.
Right.
She's born November 8, 2015.
What's her name?
Nala.
Nala?
And like the Lion King.
Yeah, Nala, that's pretty. Is that N-A-L-A? How do you spell that? You said Nala Renee? And what was your son's name?
Sterling. Daniel.
Where'd you get that?
Actually, it was Sterling about the cartoon. Sterling Market. And Daniel, my brother's name.
Okay, so it paid a tribute to your brother with that. When was Sterling born?
He was born May Day. He was a May Day baby.
May 1, 2017?
Yep.
Okay. And then you have one other child. Who was that with?
And with my aunts, Zachary Koehn. She had actually the same last name as me.
But not married? You guys weren't married?
Yeah, we were married at one time. She's actually sending out papers because like I have some dad and stuff. And I would be real stubble, with each other for the sake of our coin. And so she's sending out papers like in case the bank has promised not to pull or anything of that stuff. And I told she's clear of anything now. a separation paper or something like that.
Are you guys unofficially divorced right now then, or?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to go about that.
Okay. How long have you been apart from her then? Did you guys split up way back in 2014 when you started? Okay. So you broke up before you and Cheyenne got together?
Yeah.
What's your boy's name? What's Sherry?
Caden.
Is that C-A-D? Caden? C-A-D-E-N? K-A-D? Dean? I was wondering if that was Dean Star Gray, that were you?
Yeah, he always liked going out to farm, working in tractors and stuff. When he was probably 3, I don't know, they all built, and they had a big tool out tractors. And we just got a 25-foot roller, big rollers, and he was able to run that thing by himself. When he turned the wheel, it's IGT transmission, so you have to use no clutch or anything, but yeah, he was out there, just turn it around and get it straightened out and hit the auto steer.
Isn't that something? So you and Sherry still talk? That's still, okay.
And about just last night.
And you're trying to figure out, you guys were working on getting divorced?
Yeah.
Is that a little bit of a financial issue, having the money to get all that done, or?
Yeah, it's not sure how to test and stuff like that.
Okay.
Really, as far as holidays and stuff like that, Shaggy really tends to have their family not go big mine. Yeah, there's no animosity to it. Kind of respect. I try not to bring her around where my son's mom is.
Sure. Sure.
Fighting and
Does Kate never come stay with you?
no.
No?
Not lately because he's in school now with her. He likes to be around his grandma.
Sure. Where they live at? Sherry and Kate, where's that?
Kate lives in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Oklahoma, Virginia.
With your folks?
Yeah. And Sherry lives in Mountain Ridge, Kansas. And she was born, raised.
You say, was it Mountain Ridge?
Mountain Ridge.
Mountain Ridge.
Since the movie.
Does Cheyenne work at all? Has she in recent times? When was the last time she worked?
She worked at the bar in Niceville a few years ago.
And that was the last time?
Yeah, I usually swing the grocery bill and all that around. She gets nervous when people watches the kids, and she's always wondering if they're okay. And so she sits there and worries. And I'm like, I don't want to see the argument. She probably great at paying jobs. So I figure I just never be stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. And so she was full-time watching both children? Was that what she wanted to do too? Was she?
Yeah, she don't mind it at all.
Did she graduate high school?
Is it me or is it getting warm in here? Can we try it with the air conditioner, see if it works? Let's see what happens.
And she dropped out and left the grade or something, because they were constantly moving her along. And they were, she was in the spring school, and pretty encouraged with bullying and stuff like that. She just couldn't do it.
Where's she from originally? She is born and raised in that area? Was she born and raised in that area? Is that where she's always lived?
And she moved with her mom. Started living with my mom. She was really bad childhood. Some pretty bad things happened to her. She was 10 or 11, so she got away from her dad pretty quick. Best she could. So,
Okay. I was going to back up a minute. I made me think of something. You said you got in trouble with the Mennonites when you were 16 because you drank, right? Do you still drink today, or?
not really. There's also beer here and there, but when I started working for the farmer, she got too old to farm and started drinking pretty heavy. And that's safe to say I was an alcoholic. I wake up, I'd have 6 screwdrivers for breakfast. And I'd take a 30-pack, drink a 30-pack all day, and come home and grab a 12-pack. I got over 210 pounds finally, and I just felt exhausted all the time. And every time I was awake, I was drunk. And we had a little girl, and like during the time she was baking, and the woman, I sobered up. That's when I got my CDL too. And I was sober for 9 months. And then I had 2 years down in Houston, Texas. And I was pretty tipsy off of that. And ever since then, I've never been able to drink a whole bunch at a time. It's usually here and there during the weekend.
So there's maybe a beer or two on the weekend, or when's the last time you drank?
Oh, it had been a couple of weeks actually. 2 weeks ago, when I moved out on the work.
That was a couple weeks ago, a couple weekends ago. You just had a beer with your neighbor?
Yeah. I think he's been here before.
Has he?
Old Mr. Flowers,
Do you like him? Did he?
the black guy, he named him there.
Did you get in a little trouble, or?
But he goes that way.
Um,
And my county, I told him, if you tell him that, you're going to get the issue. And he went on, he's from Chicago, you know. I'm like, he's 2 weeks, I bet you look at Wade at your job. So he works over in Fredericksburg at the grain place. Sure enough, he's over waiting there in the parking lot. He needed to go to work. Took him in.
do you do any recreational drugs at all? Do you ever mess with that a little bit, like marijuana or anything like that?
Back in the day, about 17.
Okay.
It just, I like to throw up on it. Because I've gotten caught so bad. But yeah, I stay away from that, especially with CDL, because you can't live that. Not only hard work.
So has it been literally since back when you were 17 that you did something like that?
Yeah. Just can't do it with me. Job.
Makes sense, that's a good decision. Have you ever done anything else besides marijuana? Did you ever try anything else?
Nothing really hard.
Okay. Okay. So it's been literally like 10 years or so since you were
Yeah.
having any marijuana or anything like that, or any kind of recreational drug. thinking, do you have any medications or anything you had to watch out for when you're drinking that much, or you've never had?
Never really done any medication.
Never had anything prescribed or anything? So you didn't have any kind of physical or mental diagnosis or something where you'd have to get prescribed drugs to help you out, or no? Okay, so the alcohol you never had to worry about. Because sometimes they don't claim it. Yeah, that's it. I was thinking, I couldn't, that's a lot of alcohol that you were drinking. And I was like, man, you really couldn't. It'd be hard to be given prescription medication on top of that.
That was pretty much my prescription.
Yeah, I suppose so. So you've never been haven't really had a prescription medication or anything? Okay. Do you have any medical diagnosis of any kind? Have you been diagnosed with any kind of medical condition or issues or anything like that? No? Okay. Do you see a doctor regularly?
I don't know. One of us in the physical business contract with.
Okay. When was that about?
Been 6 weeks, I think.
This year? And was that for the job?
Yeah, well, my medical card expired on the 17th, so I had to go to Scramble and get that updated. Otherwise, he would have reverted my license back to, non-commercial.
So that's with your commercial licensing, you have to have that periodically updated?
If you go out of my borders, you have to have medical.
Okay. Doing okay? You tired or anything? Or did you get some sleep? I know did you work a night shift last night?
Yeah.
What was your shift last night?
I left the house around 5 in the evening, and the catch crew was a little slow, so my appointment was at 8:30, and I didn't get things started loading me until 10:30, and I was finally loaded and ready to go. It was 12:30, or 12:10, and then I come back to stop and fuel, just clear away, and go back to the plant around 3. And then I was looking at the trailer and raise the road, get the chicken air out, and then I sat in my truck and did some paperwork. Just catch up with the ticket logs, not the driver logs, but the get the bill on a sheet every time we take a load, so the company knows it's the truck and stuff.
Sure.
And so I did a couple of those, so it'll be nice a little bit. And when I went home,
What time did you get home?
I'll say probably 11 or 4 hours.
Okay. So, is that like 4:45 or a little after? Yeah. Around 4:45. And do you go to bed right away after a shift like that? Like, you walk in and are you in bed like within a couple minutes or?
Probably an hour maybe. Play the games on my phone, managing your roles and stuff. Got pretty quick on that and play that when I fell asleep.
Okay. So do you go into the bedroom and do that, or are you out in the living room, or where do you do that at? Okay. Do you eat when you get home, like last night? Did we eat something? That's always good, isn't it? So you think you probably, were you asleep by 6?
Yeah. Sort of remember back.
Yeah.
Kind of close.
That sounds about right, because when you told me you got home about, 4:45, and you make your grilled cheese, and then you get into bed and you kind of play a game on your phone till after you fall asleep. Yeah, kind of wind down, and you said you were about an hour it takes you to get to sleep after you get home. Okay. When you get home, is Okay. Are you an artist?
Not really.
Can you draw me a little sketch of your place just so I can kind of see what things look like? Can you explain that to me? I'll give you time here. So just you can start, give yourself enough room so you can draw a good size, but so you got kind of an aerial view where you show me the door and the different rooms and stuff. Can you do that? Then you can kind of show me which rooms are which, so I'll help you a little bit. So can you maybe put a little line out on the side, put like baby's room, like you choose just so I know whose room this is, yeah. Awesome. And so Sterling sleeps in the baby's room, right? When you marked here. Where does Nala sleep?
She usually sleeps sometimes in this room, or most of the time she's been, like since my schedule's been out there, I used to work, like my daughter's leaving usually from 3 to 4 in the morning, and the new schedule came in and they said, but we have to put, loading at 7 or 8 in the morning during the evening. So that would mess up her sleep schedule. With me up and around it.
Sure.
She wouldn't go to sleep. She'd be crying, but I'd leave in the middle of the night.
Right.
So sometimes try to put her to bed with her.
Okay. You bet. And how long has Sterling been sleeping? I know sometimes when you bring a baby home, maybe you do some different things, but how long has Sterling had his own room like this? Or a room?
For probably a long day. Just a little bit. We had an army too. Like all the kids. It's a new house and everything was different. And so that way we all cleaned up.
Yeah.
We were together. And,
How long have you guys lived at this place?
I would have been probably May, I'd say, somewhere in there. I lived in the East, but
Late May, I think.
yeah.
How's the rent there? Is it pretty reasonable? Seems pretty reasonable then.
Not bad for one woman like me.
How are you doing money-wise? Are you paid every week or 2 weeks or monthly? How do you do? 2 weeks you're getting paid?
Yeah,
What do you make from, what's your check? Is it the same every 2 weeks, or does that fluctuate?
pretty much. I mean, like my boss helped me out with some lines, so they took a little bit off here and there.
Yeah,
You
a
know,
little payback?
Yeah, saying that. So, I mean, I don't know, I'd average about maybe 1,000 a week.
1,000 a week? Yep.
Maximum, I think, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Do you guys have some credit card bills or medical bills or those kinds of things with the baby? What kind of bills do you have?
I think there's on insurance with that. But, yeah, I got some debt with the credit card. Like Verizon, one.
Do you have like back dues with Verizon? How much do you think you got on a credit card? Are you looking at quite a bit, or?
Yeah, probably about 2 years.
2,000, yeah. What do you think you do with Verizon?
I'm not sure, like, they have that, pay as you go. I started noticing different charges and stuff, and I'm not gonna look right, you know, it's like, you know, I got off the plan or whatever, so they charge me full $1,100 per hour.
Yikes.
Yeah, the interest, I don't know, probably $3,000-$4,000.
That's terrible. So you don't have an iPhone anymore, huh?
No, I mean, I do, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So now you got the Samsung with that through.
It's pretty big, though. You know, you can buy the cards of it.
Yeah. Do you like the Samsung phone?
It's not as good. If you're on the internet or something, it's pretty hot.
Is that a Galaxy?
You know, it's just a cheap one.
Okay.
I mean, it's a J1.
So that is with Verizon?
Yeah, just a prepaid deal, though.
So did you buy the phone straight up or not? Did you pay for the phone or did they give it to you?
At least do it like a payment deal or whatever.
Okay, so are you still paying the phone off too, or
Working on it.
working on it? And then do you pay, so do you get cards every month or do you pay Verizon directly?
Hey, card.
Like where do you get those at somewhere?
Quick trip or something.
Okay,
Prepaid.
yeah. Is
So
that
this one here, you buy it in a box, like $1.10 off something.
the phone you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. What's your number on that, just in case I didn't get a hold of you later?
406,
Uh-huh,
223,
yeah.
2193.
Does reception, Verizon's pretty decent up here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Alpha is dead for service.
For everybody, or?
Yeah, there's even all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's 641
Uh-huh.
832 9076. She has, when you call, my phone or my voicemail or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't service it.
Try hers.
Yeah, just call her or
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is she also on Verizon?
yeah, the plan, so.
She's on a plan, so she actually, but you're on a prepaid, so you just have to,
It's kind of, I think it's maybe Microsoft an hour or something.
is she the only one on her plan?
She's on plan with her parents.
Okay. But are her parents actually the subscriber, or whatever you call it? Okay. How long have you had that number? Is this when you had that one for a long time, or is that a new number?
When I really want to.
So since then, so that's been, how long did you have that? Okay. And it's shy, do you call it shy or Cheyenne? What do you call it? How long has Shy had that, this number? Has she had that one a long time?
Yeah.
Like years or?
Well,
So you're both, you get service through Verizon, but yours is you get the cards and just pay as you go. And you you punch that number into your phone, and then that gives it more service? Is that how that works? Or more?
Like either one, the day or two.
It'll say you need to go get another card. How much a card they get you to do?
$50.
And how long will that last usually?
Data usually is like 5 gigabytes.
Okay.
So we use it twice, the data will last me all month, and then unlimited everything else.
Phone and calls or text and...
There's always on data, even for an hour, gigabytes will slow down to 2 gigabytes, so if you look something up on Google,
It's crawling. Yeah.
it's almost a dial-up.
But when you're on your card, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's working now.
That's really, okay. Okay. And she got like an iPhone? Did she keep her iPhone, or what's she got?
Yeah, we left hers in Montana though. There was some stuff that we left up there. Closed, I was reading, left, and then the plan on coming back.
Harold is quiet this down.
Yeah. Then we were that way back. So we had two out there.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
These darn things are always going, aren't they?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. And so her phone right now, did you say it's back in the apartment, or where is it?
Yeah.
This one? She just left it there when you guys came over. Okay. And do you guys have a house phone or just the 2 cell phones? You don't carry 2 cell phones, do you?
Sure.
I carry 2. Can you believe that? There's nuts.
I do sometimes because I get my iPhone address. It's on iPhone, so I hotspot with that one.
Yeah.
So I use that to get it's a little faster and easier to run because I used to run my iPhone and like when I go on browser and maps and stuff like that, it's a lot easier.
What color is your iPhone?
Yeah, so
Okay, kind of. I like the silver one the best.
we're to 6 years.
That's pretty nice. They're at 7 now, right?
Yeah,
They're 7.
I can't keep up.
I see they have like, one Sprint is one of my providers, and they have like an iPhone Forever plan. So they come out with a new iPhone like every year, and you're leasing it, so you never really own your phone, but you can get, I don't do it, but some people do it. You can get a new iPhone every year, I guess. Nice if you can afford it.
Yeah.
I don't need a new iPhone every year. They are nice. Okay. Okay, so
You would have as hard as you.
what do you need stuff? Yeah. I'll put my cell phone number on there for you. So I don't work with these guys. We're kind of, the way to describe this is, these sheriff's offices are not super big. As you know, they've got a handful of officers. And so we basically just, we're paid for by the state. And so we travel and I'm basically mobile. And so whoever has something, if they just need it, it's extra something. Like a local detective, yeah. So I cover a pretty big area. So when there's like a death or something like that, it would be normal for us just to come in. Yeah. And so they would call and just say, hey, we may not have enough guys or whatever, because they have to do all the patrol functions, all the things like bust your buddy, the things you're telling me about. So sometimes they need help with anything as things pop up, and so they basically have a number they can call, and then, guys like me, and so we do this. But I'll put my number down here for you, because you don't want to call this number because I'm never there. So this is just an office number, but I'll put my cell on here, and then you can, if you need to get a hold of me, this is where you can. Can you read my writing there?
I sure can. I'll put it in mind.
You're kind. You're kind. So hang on to that, and if you need to get a hold of me in the next few days, I may get back to you. We'll finish up here, and then I'll look it over, and sometimes sometimes I forget to ask stuff or whatever, and you may have a question for me in a day or two, so you'll have a way to get in touch with me.
Usually it's like in the evening till early morning, I'm usually awake.
Okay, okay,
It's like from like 7 to 11 in the morning, I'm probably asleep, but
okay.
anytime after that, I answer my phone, especially if it's like Monday through Friday, I'll be out in that service area, so I really good service man.
Okay. Let's go over, maybe give me your schedule real quick, and you give me your weekly schedule. Is it set or does it change, or is it pretty set? Pretty constant? Is that because of service issues or power issues?
I'm not sure.
It's kind of going glitchy on you, isn't it? Wow. Is that funky?
Yeah. Did you use my phone?
I haven't touched it, man. I wouldn't know what to do. I barely can operate mine. Has it ever done that before? Have you been in town here before it's ever done that, or
No, I haven't. It's at 12%, so that might
maybe it's a little low?
restart.
I was going to say, usually my answer is restart it and see if it, just like my computer, and just start it over. You know your schedule off the top of your head, or?
I can give an email, I can send it to you.
Ooh, that'd be great too. Tell me about, like, so last night you worked, you left the house about 5 and you got home about, you said 4:45 roughly, right? So almost 5 to 5, right? It's about how long you're gone. You leave the house about 5 and you got home a little before 5. Is that pretty normal?
Sometimes, it depends which crew you have. We have Mexicans that are working.
Yeah.
Crew, and they can get kind of slow sometimes.
Okay.
And we got some black boys and
Okay.
they usually go there 21 minutes. And sometimes they'll take 2 to 2.5 hours to load, old vodka.
So did you leave last night at about 5 p.m. or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Okay, I think, how much time is left in this?
It doesn't say, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, we started close to 2.
So let's take 10, 15 minutes stretch. And a regroup here. Yeah, leave the transfer station here. I want you to read ahead. If need be, I'll lie to them and we'll go a little passport.
It shouldn't be too much.
I'll take the heat.